Hello, everyone. Here's your weather hazard briefing for the last Sunday in January here in 2023. We do have that snow continuing, but it ends, and then we start a couple of days of some pretty dangerous cold conditions, especially with wind chills across the region. We do have some wind out there today, so even where we don't have a lot of snow falling or snow falling at all, there will be some pockets of blowing and drifting snow. The focus of snow and any type of impacts from that or blowing snow, the main focus will be south and east of the Snake Plain, and also with the Arctic air spilling over up along the Montana border. Like we said, it's a very cold end of the month. Dangerous wind chills, even during the daytime hours through Tuesday, and these well below average temperatures, the air temperatures, that continues through at least midweek. Satellite this morning, we most of our moisture is now across the southern end of the Snake Plain, maybe up into the island or Idaho Falls area, up into Driggs, but definitely once you get into the South Hills, the Southeast Highlands, that's where the most of the moisture lies for the daytime hours today. Looking at our weather risk outlook, we do have those wind chill issues up across the eastern highlands, along with the blowing and drifting snow, and that's mainly up there. They're not going to have much snow falling, if at all, it looks like at this point. Like we said, farther south, we do have the snow and blowing and drifting snow as well. We do have the low wind chills, not necessarily dangerous. We kind of draw that line at about 20 below or colder, but some low wind chills up around Mackay and Chalice, also up across portions of Limhi County for at least during the daytime hours. For tomorrow, widespread dangerous wind chills across the region. Some areas will see some wind chills well below minus 20. We start to see a little bit of moderation, but still some pretty dangerous wind chills across the board on Tuesday. And those wind chills, those are the main impacts for Wednesday and Thursday. We don't have a lot of moisture coming to our area, but we just have the colder temperatures, and it's going to be cold enough. There's not necessarily a lot of wind, but enough to put a lot of wind chills below zero during that particular period. So for today, like we talked about this morning, the snow has been generally across the Magic Valley. Most of it will continue to push across the Snake Plain into the southern and eastern highlands, the southeast highlands, across the South Hills as well. A pretty good batch of heavier snow expected, at least for the first part of the day once you cross the border. If you're heading to Logan, heading down towards the Salt Lake area for at least the first part of today. We see that thinning out, but lingering snow across the southeast corner during the morning hours. That will come to an end later on today. A little bit of snow. The convergence band is still kind of hanging over in portions of the Treasure Valley, and that's where we'll see a little bit of light snow falling through this evening, maybe trailing back as far as Shoshone or between Burley and Twin Falls, but most of that will be ending as the dry, cold air continues to move in. We should see that over by rush hour tomorrow morning over towards the Boise area if you're headed that direction. So headed back to our forecast for today. Looking at the snow and wind, and not a lot of snow is falling. Now, we'll have some pockets of heavier snow. We got a little bit of a heavier snow band down across the bench area south of American Falls. Also, for those folks down the southeast corner, a couple of inches of snow and some pockets of heavier snow, but the general trend is less than an inch in those areas. But you see those strong winds across the area, especially across the Montana border region. Some of those gusts will be continuing in excess of 50 miles an hour, 45 to 50 miles an hour today. Stronger winds developing across the Snake Plain. Also, some gusty northerly winds down across the South Hills into the southeastern highlands. For this afternoon, those winds do continue, maybe expanding just ever so slightly south of the Snake Plain and up towards Lone Pine and Gilmore Summit, over towards Mackay and up through portions of the Little Lost for this afternoon. But you don't see a lot of snow falling, just some light snow or flurries across the region this afternoon. That's going to drive the wind chills. We've already seen wind chills up north breaking below minus 40, and that trend will continue most of the day up around Island Park, the Spencer area, north of Du Bois, north of Ashton, heading up towards Gilmore Summit. Also some low wind chills as you head up into the Central Mountains. Wind chills for the rest of the region running about 0 to 15 below zero in some areas for this afternoon. You can see the actual air temperature. We're talking quite a bit of the area in the single digits and teens. Below zero temperatures, the higher elevations of the Central Mountains, also up again along the Montana border. Some of those areas this afternoon only reaching 0 to around 5, 7 below for afternoon highs. So quite a bit of an Arctic push coming across that area. For tonight, those winds do subside, but they're still pretty breezy out of the north, especially for the first half of the evening and the overnight hours. Those strong winds continuing up north. We're still looking at gusts in excess of 40 up towards DuBois, Ashton Hill, Spencer, up towards Blue Dome and Lone Pine as well. Lighter winds to the south, but it's really not making much of a difference for the wind chills. Still widespread wind chills running at the low end, or they should say the warmer end. That's kind of a misnomer when you look at temperatures in the negative and wind chill values in the negative, right around minus 20. You get across the Arco Desert up north into the central mountains. Some of these wind chills are running 30, 40, maybe even 45 below at times. That's the general trend during the overnight hours. For those low temperatures, you'll see most of the area well below 0. Some of the warmer temperatures still around 0 to 5 below over around Twin, Jerome, and Shoshone. But many areas running about 10 to 20, 25 below 0. That's just for the air temperature. The air temperature in Stanley overnight, looking at, potentially seeing some of those really, really cold pockets up in the higher valleys of the central mountains. For tomorrow, not much wind expected. Some areas seeing some 10 to 15 mile an hour gusts, but with the very cold air temperatures in place, still wind chills below 0. Many areas running about 10 to 25 below 0. You get north, again, up north of Idaho Falls into portions of the central mountains. Some of those wind chills running around 30, 35 below 0 during the day tomorrow. So it's not just the overnight period that we're worried about these dangerous wind chill conditions. And you'll see where temperatures tomorrow, they're not going to get out of the single digits unless you're in places like Stanley, where it'll be around 15, low to mid-teens for the Magic Valley down into the valleys of the South Hills. Also some teens over in the southeastern highlands during the day tomorrow. Tuesday morning, you can notice that we do have still continued wind chills below 0. Some areas not as bad for the wind chills. That's just because the winds are not necessarily as gusty early Tuesday morning. Well, we're still talking 20 to 30 below across the Arco Desert, Snake Plain, the Eastern Highlands, also some of the colder valleys of the Central Mountains as well. And those corresponding air temperatures running about 10 to 20 below 0 air temperatures in those areas. Otherwise, we're running about 0 to 10 below for overnight lows outside of those areas. But those areas still seeing wind chills 0 to 15 below 0. And like we said, not a lot of wind. Maybe the higher peaks of the Central Mountains gusting over 10 miles an hour. Otherwise, just some localized gusts running just a bit over 10 miles per hour in some places. For the afternoon hours, the cold wind chills continue, especially over the Snake Plain into the Eastern Highlands. Again, some of those wind chills 15 to 25 below during the day. And those areas corresponding temperature-wise, single digits to around 10 to 15 above 0. But you'll see those temperatures are starting to trend upward. 20s in the Central Mountains, upper teens, low 20s for the Magic Valley down into the South Hills as well. And just a little bit more wind, but still not terribly strong going into the afternoon hours. And for Wednesday, it stays cold, but you see that trend continuing, running 5+ degrees warmer each day, whether you look at the overnight lows and the afternoon highs. Where we keep the cold inversion going, it's going to be warming from around 10 below in the morning till maybe about 10 to 15 in the afternoon. Otherwise, 20s, even some upper 20s trying to show up in a few spots, maybe 30 up in the Stanley Valley also as you head into the Treasure Valley on Wednesday. And we continue that warming trend of warming up about 5 degrees or so from Wednesday into Thursday. Not a lot of moisture during that period. If we see moisture, it'll mainly be up around Island Park and maybe across the Frank Church as well. But we got a lot of cold conditions, this Arctic air, the snow ahead of it, on the leading edge of the really, really cold air is going to be ending today. And then we're going to have at least a couple of days of some very cold temperatures and some dangerous wind chills across the area. Have a great Sunday. And please, if you're heading out today, tomorrow, and for the first part of the week, stay safe out there.